Next time when I come on the TV, I will talk about Corona, because now I am an expert and I'm also a veteran of Corona. So you count me among the veterans. Thank you very much.
And I want to congratulate you.
Excellency the Vice President, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, all the other leaders of the state and the party, their highnesses, the cultural leaders, ladies and gentlemen. I thank the Minister of Finance for reading the budget on my behalf. As I told you in the State of the Nation address, and as the Minister told you a little while ago, our economy will be US dollars 55.2 billion by the end of the coming financial year. This will mean that our economy will have grown by 37 times. It has increased 37 times in size compared to Uganda's economy of 1986. Therefore, we have done a good job on the three tasks. These tasks should be clear to all of you who get involved in running public affairs. Otherwise, you will make a lot of mistakes. The three tasks are what we call minimum economic recovery. That is what we set out to do in 1987. Minimum economic recovery, number one. 2, expansion of the sectors that had recovered. Those sectors which had recovered, to expand them. And 3, diversification from the original narrow spectrum of the colonial times of the 3 C's and 3 T's. You remember I have told you many times about that economy of the colonial times of the 3 C's and the 3 T's. The 3 C's being cotton, coffee, and copper, and the T's being tobacco, tourism, and tea. So therefore, number one, we restored that small economy which had been destroyed. That is what we called the minimum recovery. Secondly, we expanded that small economy. That's why, for instance, you hear that coffee, which was 2 million bags, is now 9 million bags. Tea, which was 23 million kilograms in 1986, is now 60 million kilograms. So, number one, recovery. Number 2, expansion. Number 3, diversification from the original narrow economy of the 3 C's and 3 T's to many more commercialized products, such as what? Fish was dying of old age in Lake Victoria here. But now we have something like, at one time we had gone to 22 factories, but now I think we have like 12 factories of fish. Maize was just for roasting on the roadside. People didn't know that maize was money. But now maize, in fact, they used to make a distinction between what they call cash crop and food crop. And food crop was supposed not to be cash crop. So maize was cash crop, was food crop, not cash crop. It is now both. Bananas, milk, that's how my tribe had been left out of the money economy by the colonial people. Milk was just for drinking and making the Banyankore women very fat. But it was not a source of money. For money, for milk of selling in the towns, it was coming either from abroad or from Kenya, KCC. Beef, cocoa, beans, gold, etc. All these have now been added. So therefore, clearly, minimum recovery, expansion, diversification should be clear to all of you who talk so much about some of these things. Those are the three tasks. But we also added a fourth task, the knowledge economy. For instance, automobiles, technology. When you talk of Chira, you are now talking of a new economy. You are no longer talking of just coffee and agriculture and hotels. You are not even talking of simple manufacturing. You are talking of high knowledge, high tech manufacturing. So this is the fourth task now, the transformation, minimum recovery, expansion, diversification of what was there, but also new type of economy based on science and high technology. Example, automobiles, pharmaceuticals, vaccines, etc. This is in addition to some limited industrialization for some of the products in the areas of sugar, for instance, steel products by recycling scrap, soap manufacture, beer, beverages, cement, etc. So apart from the high tech, we're already moving also on that really low technology, value addition to our raw materials. And these are very important, very interesting figures. This value addition, sort of partial industrialization, is aimed at two missions. Number one, import substitution. Mulekerawo okusaka, don't import, make locally. But also export promotion. Now, apparently, when I was writing this short speech, when here in my house, when some people said I was in ICU, I think my ICU here is a good one, because it allows me to do one or two things, assisted by my comrade, Mama Janet, who is here, from a distance, as you can see, safe distance. So when I was writing this short speech, I asked my people, and I would like Omguruska Seija and his team to cross-check these figures, but because if they are true, they are very interesting. The import substitution value of these industrial products, these small industries of ours here, for Mitaimbwa, for all these Sabuni, those low-tech industries, apparently the import substitution value of these industrial products is about US dollars 3.6 billion. I didn't know that these small factories of Mitaimbwa, steel bars, soap, all these our little factories, that they are saving us a figure of $3.6 billion, which we would have to look for if we are still importing them. But they are also apparently bringing into the country as export earnings US dollars 1.6 billion. Omukazi omunyankore weyagambira antukayize ngo ebere etutu yo bere shagama. There was this Munyankore woman who was catching locusts. You know, the other time when we had a problem of locusts, when they were threatening us, many people did not know that some of the Ugandans were not happy with me because I killed the locusts quickly. But some of the Ugandans who eat the locusts, they said, this man has spoiled our food. He should have allowed us to deal with these locusts. NCJ. They used to catch them and eat them. So in the 1930s, when the locusts invaded us, a Munyankore woman went into the papyrus swamp to catch the NCJ, the locusts, and she was carrying a child on the back. And she was so excited with catching the locusts. Those papyrus plants sometimes can be very sharp if they are broken. So the papyrus fragment cut the throat of the child at the back, and the woman had a warm liquid, and she thought it was sweat. But when she finished catching the locusts and said, I thought it was sweat. Bidiyo, Evereshagama. It has turned out to be blood. So, me, I didn't know that the little work we were doing, I thought it was sweat, but apparently it is blood. It is something serious. We are saving you 3.6 billion import substitution and earning for you $1.6 billion from the exports of now no longer just coffee and so on and these other things, but industrial products. That's really, I was very happy to get that figure. However, the big proportion of our economy is still a raw materials economy. So please, especially the NRM cadres, understand this very clearly. This economy we are saying has grown, as Mr. Kaseja was saying, to $49 billion now, and it will be 55 point something billion by the end of this financial year, which we have entered. You should know that that Chivaro, that estimation is as mainly a raw materials economy. Economy ekyali mu kutunda embidde, selling the embidde, the sour bananas before you process them. Meaning, unprocessed coffee, although I am putting on fine spinner's shirt here, still much of the cotton is sold as raw material. Maize, you can imagine we sell maize, owempeke, maize of grains outside, and then we import animal feeds. You can imagine. Animal feeds are from mainly maize. You sell grains of maize, you import animal feed more expensively. And our poultry farmers are crying for animal feeds. And the other people of the pigs, and so on. And even the cattle people. Until recently, we have been importing leather from outside. You can imagine, amaliba, skins and hides. Until recently, when I built that leather factory in Kaumu, our people were importing leather from China and from India. Now, this is where, and I was hearing all of you making speeches there, but I am begging you, all the NRM cadres, this is where history demands collective and cohesive action from the NRM cadres. Now that we have got an educated workforce, because now we have got, you saw what Mr. Kaseja was saying, that 80% of Ugandans now can read and write. You heard him saying it there. 80%, literacy rate, 80%. From 43% are literate. Now that you have got an educated workforce, now that we have got enough electricity, now that we have got good roads, and that we are building or repairing the railway system. Here in the speech I did not add, but Mr. Kaseja talked about it. We have got cheap money in UDB for industry. Every effort must be made to add value to all our products. Because this is what is lacking now. To add value to all our products. Add value to coffee. Please. Why? Because you will get money more than 10 times more when you add value to coffee than the way we are selling it now. To cotton, timber, cocoa, even fish products, although the factories are producing fish, fillet and so on, but we can add more value, apparently. Gold, we need more gold refineries. Iron ore, we don't want to sell iron ore unprocessed to anybody. We need to sell steel, copper, Vermiculite, there's a lot of vermiculite in Bugisu there. Phosphates, you can imagine we are crying that there is a war in Europe, so we can't get phosphates now. We have phosphates here in Tororo. The Chinese man who had come there, our people stole money from him. He was stupid. He was giving bribes to idiots and thieves. He should have helped me to get them, and I would have hanged them. But we shall get other investors. So, adding value to phosphates, petrochemicals, maize, bananas, etc., etc. By doing this same economy will jump to US dollars 550 billion instead of the mere 55.2 billion we are talking about, laudable though it is. I am happy to say, oh, we have gone to 55.2 billion, but I'm not satisfied. No. And I think in the other speech which I gave on State of the Nation, I quoted the example of South Korea, and I was able to quote for you the economy of South Korea in 1961. I hope you can compare it with Uganda of 1961. I think that time in the other speech I said the economy of South Korea was two something billion. It is now almost 2 trillion. Imagine the little South Korea has got a GDP half of the whole GDP of Africa. Of Africa to Baswara. South Korea is half size of Uganda. But they now have a GDP which is, I think, almost 2 trillion. And you hear that, I hear all these people quoting when they go to meetings. African GDP is now 3-something trillion. I really feel embarrassed. Why can't these people keep quiet? How can the whole of Africa have economy smaller than Japan? Because Japan has got something like 5 trillion. Now here you are talking about the GDP of Africa being 3 trillion, and you talk about it. You are not even embarrassed. Me, I'm embarrassed to talk like that. That's what I was telling the NRM MPs in Chankwanzi. You are talking of the oversight. Oversight. Okay, thank you very much. But is it in order to oversight backwardness? And you feel satisfied that I'm overseeing you backwardness? 39% of the people who are outside the money economy, coffee, raw material, which is 100% given away free. We are not. You should talk of transformation. You should be transformation agents. So therefore, for me, I'm insisting. Why do I say that? And I would like anybody to challenge me after this. When I get out from this corona, I will be able to face anybody who wants a challenge. Why do I say this? It is because the 55.2 billion you are talking about dollars we are talking about presupposes only a quantitative expansion of our economy through creating more products. You grow more coffee, That's how you end up. You grow more maize, more raw materials. That's how you end up growing by 6%. The one Mr. Kaseja was talking about. But if instead of just growing coffee beans, if I process a kilo of coffee from bean to powder, instead of earning $2, I earn $40. What is that percentage now? Eh? No. I'm not ready to accept that. That slave plan of slavery for Africa. My envisioned economy of US dollars, 550 billion, acknowledges the already achieved goal of quantitative expansion. Grow more coffee, grow more maize, grow more what? Fantastic. But when you add value, what growth speed are you talking about? But adds another element. My envisioned economy of the US dollars 550 billion acknowledges the already achieved goal of quantitative expansion, but adds another element of qualitative leap through value addition. This is what I'm talking about. That is not all, however. Remember, there are still 39% of our households that are still spectators instead of being part of the players. These are the bakorere chida kyonka, teach me ichikeken, working only for the stomach. Here below is a report written for me by Major Gaba, one of our army officers, about one of our wealth creators, Nyakana of Rwengaju, near Fort Portal. This army officer wrote for me a report after she had visited there with the cattle rustlers from Karamoja. These young cattle rustlers contacted me when I was in Baregi, and I met them and I said, okay, you think stealing cows is good? Let me show you how people who like cows do things. So I took them around to Fort Portal, to different places. Now this Major Gava went with them to Fort Portal and other places. When she came back, she wrote this simple report. The farm, the Nyakana's farm, even today, I think another huge group of cattle rustlers are there. Mr. Nyakana's farm sits on 1.25 acres and does the following economic activities. Number one, zero grazing. It has a total number of 6 cows, out of which 5 are lactating. These 5 cows produce 116 liters of milk per day. A liter of milk in the area ranges between shillings 1,000 and 1,200. Earnings, he sells 100 liters per day and spends 40,000 per day on their feeding. So that is 100 liters times 1,000 shillings, that's 100,000 shillings, minus 40,000 shillings expenditure. So his daily net income from cows is 60,000. This is net now. He has removed the costs. So, daily, 60,000 times 30 days, 1.8 million a month, times 12 months, 21.6 million from milk on 1 acre, 1.25 acres. Then his other enterprise was poultry, is poultry. He has got 7,500 birds. This is the language, of course, I don't use myself, because I don't call Nkoko are not enyonyi. This we are of foreigners which you copy. Enyonyi is enyonyi. Nkoko is Nkoko. You can't say Nkoko is enyonyi. You must be mad. You can't be from Africa here. I've even had some people calling cows animals. Animals. I feel like fighting. You cannot call my cows animals. They are cows. Ente is ente. Enyamaishwa is enyamaishwa. So please, deal with your foreigners, but don't bring your confusion to us. But now, she's the one who wrote this. That the Nyakana has got 7,500 birds, out of which 4,500 lay eggs. He collects 120 trays of eggs per day and sells each tray at 12,000 shillings. Earnings, 120 trays times 12,000 is 1.44 million per day. But feeding these hens, what they call birds, he spends 1 million for feeding the hens, and another 40,000 for labor costs. So out of the 1.44 minus 1 million for feeding, then minus 40,000 for labor costs, this therefore leaves him with 400,000 shillings as a daily net income from chicken. 400,000 per day times 30 days is 12 million in a month. 12 million times 12 months is 144 million net. This is somebody in the village. He has got net 21 million from milk, and now has got net 144 million from eggs. Then he also has feeds processing mini factory. He has feeds processing plant which produces feeds for cows and chicken and pigs. He also has got manure. He produces manure for his farm and also sells out to other people at shillings 600,000 per month. Then he produces also gas production. He produces a lot of gas from his farm and has plans of packing it in cylinders for sale. So I'm going to get Major Gaba's report, put it properly in a glass cover, and put it in the Uganda Museum. Not my own speech, no, but what Agaba wrote for me. Because I want history to come and see what I've been telling you, what you can do from 1.25 acres. Because I'm tired of talking as if I want you to come and clean my house or look after my cows. So I'll put it in the museum. Not my speech as a whole, but this report by Major Gawa, because she wrote it very well. That's how I put it in this speech. Nyakana now employs 15 people on this 1.25 acre farm. Some time ago, I pointed out that if 7 million 1 acre farmers created a mere 10 jobs each, not Nyakana's 15, would create 70 million jobs, more than the population of Uganda. And if you want to know that this is possible, you should find out how many Africans came from other countries and came here. Banyarwanda, Burundi, people from South Sudan, from Tanzania. They came because of the few economic activities which were going on during the colonial times. Coffee, cotton, kajo, sugarcane. That's how they came. They came because the internal labor was not enough. The labor within Uganda was not enough. So these Africans from other areas had to come. So even now, if we implement this, we shall have so many jobs that the Ugandans will not be enough. Therefore, no games, please. No games, no delays, no corruption, no aloofness by leaders and officials in the issue of value addition, and no relenting on PDM and Emyoga. Uganda is unstoppable. Some people, when we tell them quietly, politely, they don't seem to get it. On the side of agriculture, I did not talk about irrigation, solar-powered irrigation, because that one is very, very crucial to be able to stabilize agriculture. You had your budget, Ugandans, of Uganda shillings 52 trillion. While I support that budget because there is no other solution in the short run, it is important to know, Honorable Kasaija talked about it, but it should be highlighted, to know that shilling 17 trillion of that budget is to pay debts. He talked about it towards the end of his speech. He talked about it, but it should be highlighted. The 52 trillion you are talking about, 17 trillion of it is to pay debts. Amawanja. Many of these debts were being pushed by the neo-colonial public servants until recently, when I put down my foot and insisted on approving every loan. That's why you hear that these loans take time now to be approved, because I insisted I must approve of every loan, external loan. Because all this money was not worth borrowing. If you audit it, it was not borrowed for a good purpose. The way forward is that we should borrow less, and I'm glad the minister talked about that, or not borrow at all. With the discipline, we do not have to borrow at all. URA is also still under collecting taxes. Those URA people, I saw Mr. Msingus there in the TV there, but they are also not doing a good work. Their tax GDP ratio of 13% is not serious. In Europe, countries like Holland, our tax GDP ratio of 39.7%. However, we say in our language here, ekitata muhima tekimala konte. When a cattle keeper still has life, he will get new cows, even if the old ones died. We shall learn from the mistakes of the past and perform better. Now, what I want the NRM cadres to understand is that in order to do the industrialization I talked about, we don't have to use government money. The government money has already been used on the basics, infrastructure, security, and so on. The strategy is to handle well the private sector. Private sector can help us industrialize our country, provided we handle them well. I want to thank all the Ugandans who have been praying for me. I've been watching you praying for me at the National Chairman's office, Babaranda and Hadija Muzukuru, praying in All Saints Church, praying in signing the board here near the gate, and all the others who have been wishing me good luck. I appreciate really. It's good to know that I am not as bad as some people try to make me, and that there are Ugandans who appreciate. I also want to congratulate our people in Bukedea. What Right Honorable Speaker spoke about, I was following our guard there, a call, was elected as chairperson with a big majority after the death of the other of the chairman, who was also NRM. I congratulate all those who are involved. I congratulate Right Honorable Anita Among, because she was she helped us a lot. It's not illegal for a speaker to have a clan. Is it in the constitution that a speaker must have no clan, including a political clan? So if it's not unconstitutional, then I want to salute her. And the NRM people who stood down, because there were NRM people who stood down for our call. So I thank you, and I wish everybody good luck. Next time when I come on the TV, I will talk about Corona, because now I am an expert, and I'm also a veteran of Corona. So you count me among the veterans. Thank you very much.